Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome us to today's weekly life chats. So glad to have you here for taking out of your time to be here. So we're going to be starting now. Yes. So today we're going to be talking about something that sounds simple, but is actually one of the most profound skills you can ever develop in life. And the topic we're going to be looking at today is finding joy in being alone. Yes, finding joy in being alone, not just tolerating aloneness, not just surviving it, but truly deeply and finding joy in your own company. Yes. So my name is Adereji Covenant. I am a mind coach. And I would like us to keep something in mind right now that learning to be alone is not actually a punishment. It is a homecoming. Yes. So before we go further, I would like to make a distinction, between loneliness and solitude. Solitude can also be known as aloneness, being alone. Yeah, so we're going to be using solitude interchangeably. When we're talking about loneliness, loneliness is the painful feeling of being disconnected. Yes, it is the ache or of wanting connection and not having it. Yes, this one is involuntary. It hurts. Not having that connection that you need at a particular time. That is loneliness. But solitude alone is the intentional choice to be with yourself. It is voluntary. Yeah, can we understand the difference? It is voluntary. It is spacious. It is a practice. Yes, that's what being alone means. Yes, loneliness can tell you, oh, I am empty without others. Why being alone could be, I am all enough to enjoy myself. Yes, do we get? So the goal is not to eliminate loneliness entirely. The goal is to transform our relationship with being alone, to move from enduring it to choosing it, and that transformation takes practice. Yes. So I'd like us to be honest with ourselves. Many of us, being alone might actually feel hard. Yeah, it might feel uncomfortable, even scary. Yes, but there is a reason for that. It is not a personal feeling. We live in a culture that glorifies being busy. We are told that our value is in our productivity, social connection, and relationships. But being alone is often seen as a sign that something is wrong with you. That's what culture sees it as. So we're also human beings wired for connections. Our previous ancestors have survived because they formed tribes. Yes, that's connection. Isolation was literally dangerous during that time. So when you feel uncomfortable being alone, it's not actually weakness, it is biology, and that is conditioning. So here's the thing, you can rewire it. Yes, it can be rewired. You can teach your nervous system that being alone is safe. You can teach your mind that being alone is not abandonment. You can teach your heart that your own company is enough. Yes, and that is what we are going to be learning today in today's live chat. Yeah. So, what do we actually start from? We start with a shift in the mindset, in our mindset. Yes, most of us approach being alone with avoidance, that we're trying to avoid something. We think, how do I get out of this? How do I feel this space? How do I distract myself? But if we approach it, if we approach with curiosity instead, if what if we ask, who am I when no one is watching? What do I actually enjoy? Not what do I actually enjoy? Not what I do with others, but what I love for myself. What part of me have I been neglecting because I have been so focused on others? On others. Yeah, this is not about turning inward and never coming out. It is about turning inward so that when you do come out, you come out as a full person. Yes, you come out as a full person. So now that we have understand the difference between loneliness and solitude, I want to believe that we are following. Yes, we are following. So, and we have also looked at the cultural aspects, but let's dive more into it. We do not experience being alone in a vacuum. Our feelings become solitude and are shaped by the culture we live. Yes, on one hand, we celebrate the lone wolf, the independent hero, the self-made individual, the maverick who walks through their path. But on the other hand, we apologize being alone. We ask, why are you single? Why don't you have more friends? What is wrong with you? We are bombarded with images of connection. Social media shows us created versions of other people's social life. Movies and television center on romantic partnership and tight-knot friends group. The message is story but constant. You are incomplete without others. At the same time, our culture is becoming increasingly individualistic. We live alone more than ever. We marry later, we move away from our families, we work remotely. The structure that was provided, built-in community, extended family, religious institution, neighborhood life has eroded. We are in many ways more alone than ever, but we have not been given the tools to make that aloneness meaningful. Yes, so the result is that we feel lonely, but we also feel ashamed of being lonely. Yes, we are alone, but we have not learned how to be alone well. We reach for distractions, phone, social media, business to fill the void, and the void only grows. Yes, it only grows. And this is a paradox of modern solitude. We have never been alone and we have never been less equipped to undo it. Looking at the psychological standpoint, yes, the British psychoanalyst Donald wrote that the capacity to be alone, he argued that this capacity is not innate. It is developed in the context of a secured relationship. A child learns to be alone by first being in the presence of a safe other. The parent is there, but not interacting. The child learns that being alone does not mean being abandoned. As adults, we have developed this capacity on our own. We must become our own safe other. We must learn that our own presence is enough. The research on aloneness, solitude supports this. Studies have shown that people who are comfortable with solitude tend to have higher levels of creativity. Yes, solitude can reduce stress and lower cortisol levels. Yes, time alone is correlated with increased self-awareness and emotional regulation. People who spend time in being alone report more satisfying relationships because they are not dependent on others for their sense of self. The research also shows that forced or prolonged isolation is damaging, though. The difference is in the choice. Solitude is healthy when it is chosen. Loneliness is unhealthy when it is imposed. That was why I've explained loneliness and solitude when we started. That loneliness can be involuntary. So it becomes unhealthy when it's involuntary. But being alone is voluntary. You are choosing yourself to be yourself at that time. That makes it healthy because you have been the one to choose that you want to be alone. Looking at it philosophically, thinkers like Henry David champion the value of solitude. Children went to valid point not to escape life, but to live it deliberately. He wrote, I never found a companion that was so companionable as solitude. Yes, being alone at times can be the best companion you need in your life. Yes, our nervous system are actually wired for connection. The vagus nerve, which regulates our parasympathetic nervous system, responds to social cues. When we are in the presence of safe others, our nervous system calms. When we are alone, our nervous system can become hypervigilant. But then, the stages of learning to be alone, let's look at it. Yes, let's look at it. In this stage, we have different stages. Looking at the first stage, that is distraction. What you can do, distraction. In this stage, you cannot bear to be alone. So you fill every moment with noise. You reach for your phone the second you are not engaged. You fill your calendar. You avoid the silence. This stage is marked by discomfort and avoidance. That's the stage of learning to be alone. Secondly, let's look at endurance. In this stage, you can tolerate being alone, but it feels like a chore. You are counting the minutes. You are waiting for it to be over. You are surviving it. This is an important stage. You cannot skip it, but you cannot stay here. Yes. The third stage is curiosity stage. In this stage, you begin to wonder. You start to ask, who am I when I am alone? What do I actually enjoy? You approach the solitude with a sense of inquiry. It is no longer just something to endure. It is something to explore. Looking at the first stage, the first stage is enjoyment. In this stage, you genuinely look forward to time alone. It is a pleasure. You have favorite solo activities. You feel restored, yes, by solitude. You crave it not out of avoidance of others, but out of genuine love for your own company. Then looking at the fourth stage, in this stage, solitude is woven into your life. It is not something you do. It is part of who you are. You move easily between connection and solitude. You are all in both states. You are not dependent on others, but you are not closed off to them. You are simply fully yourself. Yes. So let's look at practical ways, like the three pillars of joyful solitude, like finding joy in being alone. Let's look at these pillars. So we're going to be looking at presence. You cannot enjoy being alone if you are mentally elsewhere. You must learn to be present with yourself. This means that not scrolling through your phone while you are alone, not planning your next social interaction while you are alone, not ruminating on past relationship while you are alone. Simply here, now, with yourself. Presence is the foundation. Without it, solitude is just waiting for something else to happen. Let's look at curiosity. Curiosity, this means that you start asking yourself, what do I actually think about this? What do I genuinely enjoy? What part of myself have I been neglecting? Yes, curiosity transforms being alone from void into discovery. You are not alone with nothing. You are alone with something fascinating, yourself, when you begin to ask yourself these questions. Now we're going to be looking at compassion. You must treat yourself with kindness. This means not judging yourself for feeling alone, not criticizing yourself for struggling, not comparing your solitude to others' connection. Speaking to yourself as you would speak to a beloved friend. Compassion is what makes being alone safe. When you are kind to yourself, you are not afraid of your own company. Yes, what are the obstacles that stop you from finding joy in being alone or yourself? Yes, we have the distraction addiction. We live in a world of constant stimulation. The average person checks their phone over 100 times a day. Our attention span begins to shrink, and we have forgotten how to be still, how to be ourselves. Also, the fear of missing out. Yes, this is very real. When you are alone, you imagine others having more fun, more connection, more meaningful life that you think you feel left out. You feel like you are missing something. We are looking at the obstacles that can stop you from finding joy in being alone. Looking at inner critic. For many of us, being alone means being alone with our harshest critics, ourselves. The voice that says you are not good enough, you are lazy, you are wasting your time when that voice is loud. Solitude, being alone starts to become unbearable. Also, we have been told that being alone is a sign of failure, and we have been told that happiness comes from relationship. Yes, it could be true, but at times we have internalized these messages and they run so deep. For some, being alone is genuinely threatening. Yes, it triggers old wounds, actually, like abandonment, neglect, and abuse. If this is the case, then professional support could be needed. Being alone practice should not be forced. It should be gentle and gradual. So what can be done? You must learn to be with your feelings without being overwhelmed by them. This means you name your emotion, you breathe when you are feeling discomfort at that time, allowing feelings to pass without acting on them. We must also learn to observe your own thoughts and patterns. This means you can journal your thoughts at that moment, you meditate, you simply notice without judgment. Also, you must learn to comfort yourself. This means that knowing what calms you down, having a toolkit of soothing activities. Yes, find what you do that can suit you at that time. Being able to be the one who holds you at that period. Then also we have self-entertainment. You must learn to enjoy your own company. This means that having hobbies you love, being able to lose yourself in an activity, then finding pleasure in simple things. Then you must learn to protect your solitude. This means saying no without guilt, communicating your needs to others when need be, not over explaining your desires for alone time. Yes, let's look into what we can practically. Yes, restorative activities can be done, like taking your bath, reading a book, listening to music, sitting in nature. You can just like step outside, walk around, look at the view. Yeah, doing gentle stretching. At that period, it could be a time maybe you start exercising and all of that. Also, journaling, like I said earlier, then drawing or painting. Yes, there's a way drawing, painting suits the heart, suits the mind. And at times it could occupy you and you could never think that, oh, you are alone at that period. Playing an instrument, writing poetry or story, if it's something you enjoy doing. Many like, composing poem and all. Cooking a meal. Some people enjoy cooking. At that period when you feel like you're alone, you can start doing all of these things. At that when you start doing all of these things, you will not feel that you are alone. You start enjoying your own presence. Also, you can go for hiking, like exploring a new city if you're the type that like traveling, going to museums or gallery, taking a day trip to a new place, also new physical activity. You can also plan your week ahead, all of these things. The goal is to have options. Yes, all of this I'm saying, to have options. So when you're alone, you're not trapped. You have choices. You can choose what suits your mood at that period. Yeah. So looking at being alone, the relationship between being alone and the connection, the relationship between the connection and being alone. Yes. One of the most important things about being alone is that it does not push people away. It makes you more attractive to the right people. Yes. So when you are comfortable being alone, you bring a different energy to relationships. Yes, when you start enjoying your own company and you start developing relationship with people, you are not clingy. You don't need constant reassurance from people. You are not trying to fill a void because you are already full on your own. There's nothing anyone is trying to fill. You are not trying to fill a void by putting someone in your life. You have your own life, your own interests, your own self of sense. And this is not magnetic. People are drawn to those who are whole. Yes, relationships become additions to your life, not necessity. Yes. So when you're unable to be alone, you may stay in unhealthy relationships because you are afraid of being alone. Right? So you may tolerate behaviors that you will not otherwise tolerate if you have learned to find joy in being alone. Right? So you may exhaust your friends with your neediness, and that can be, frustrating, and you start to feel like you are draining the other person. You may burn out from trying to fill every moment with social interaction. So being alone is not an enemy of connection. It is the foundation of healthy connections, if we can look at it that way. So what transformation occurs? The shift from being alone from loneliness, to being alone. It is not just a change in circumstance, it is a change in perspective. Yes, the mindset, like I said earlier, it is a shift in the mindset. So loneliness can ask you questions like, who is missing? Well, finding joy, that joy that comes with being alone is, oh, who is here? Who is in my life at this time? So loneliness focuses on who is absent, but being alone focuses on who is present in your life, right? So looking at it does not mean that loneliness disappears, but it means that you have the capacity to hold both the feeling of missing someone and the experience of being present with yourself. Yes, you can be lonely and also choose solitude. So that is where you are finding joy in being alone. So you can feel the ache of disconnection and still find joy in your own company. Like, I don't know if we get what I'm trying to explain. So these things, they are not opposites. They are two trends of the same human experience. So learning to find joy in being alone is not a personal practice. It is a quiet revolution. In a world that tells you that we need others to be whole, choosing solitude is an act of defiance. So in a world that profits from distraction, choosing presence is an act of resistance. In a world that measures our worth by social connections, choosing ourselves is an act of courage. This is not about rejecting others. It is about rejecting the idea that you are incomplete without them. So this is about reclaiming your own wholeness. So I would like to say, finding joy in being alone is not a destination. It is a lifelong practice. You keep practicing over and over. It's not that, oh, when you do this, then it will work forever. You keep practicing all that has been said. You will have days when solitude feels easy and beautiful. You will have days when it can feel heavy and hard. And you will have seasons of rich connections and seasons of quiet solitude. But both are valid. Yes. So the goal is not to eliminate loneliness. The goal is to develop the capacity to be with yourself in all states with kindness and presence. The goal is to know deep in your bones that you alone, you are enough. Not because you have enough friends, not because you are in a relationship, not because you are busy and productive, but because you are you. You are worthy of your own presence. Yes. So we'll be rounding up soon and we're going to be looking at few practical scenarios. Like if there's anyone undergo in that kind of situation, we'll talk about it and you can find your way. So we're going to be looking at few like interactive reflection before we go into the practical experience scenario experience. So I'm coming. So before we're going to take a moment. I want us to just breathe and ask ourselves. Sorry, I'm coming, please. Yeah, sorry. Yes, so we're going to take a moment. Just breathe and ask ourselves, what is my relationship with being alone right now? What scenario today resonated most with me? What is one practice I can commit to this week? I want us to ask ourselves these questions. And I hope we'll be able to find answer after asking ourselves. So as we come to the end of the overview, I want to leave us with this. Learning to be alone is not about closing yourself off. It is about opening yourself up to yourself. It is about becoming the kind of person whose company you genuinely enjoy. It is about realizing that you are not a half person waiting for someone to complete you. You are already whole. Yes. So the silence, the emptiness that you feel, or whatsoever you feel, is not about being empty. Sorry, it is full of you and you are enough. So I want to thank you for being here today, and it has been an honor to, talk about this with us. So I want to say that we have to start small, be patient with ourselves, and remember that you are always, always worthy of your own presence. So take yourself and take things easy with yourself. Yes. So let's look at few practical scenarios. First one is, so let's say you have a friend, you love them, but they are funky. They cancel plans last minute. You get your hopes up and then they let you down. You are sitting at home, dressed up, ready, and they text you, so sorry, something came up. They won't be able to attend whatever events you guys have planned together. So you feel a wave of disappointment, then something else, a familiar ache. You think, oh, I am always the one being cancelled on. Maybe I am not a priority. Maybe I am alone because no one really wants to be with me. Yeah, this could be a painful one because it's a deeper wound, the fear that we are not enough, that we are easily discarded. So what do we do? when we're in this kind of situation or scenario. Yeah. I like to say that you do not jump to, oh, I don't care. That is a defense mechanism. You do care. Let yourself feel it. It is okay to be up. Yes, and their cancellation is about them, their own time management, their priorities, their capacity, and it is not a verdict on your own value. So this is a critical part. Just because they cancelled does not mean you have cancelled your own evening. Yes, you're already dressed, you're already ready. Then you can just go out instead of waiting for them after they've disappointed or feeling, oh, maybe I'm not important, something like that. You can just, since you're already dressed up, just go somewhere alone, like go to a restaurant or go watch a movie alone. Yes. So I like to say you're not a second choice if you're in this kind of scenario. Yeah, you're not a second choice to yourself. You're your own first choice. So you don't just sit down and be thinking all of that. You can just, since you already learned practical ways to find joy in being alone, just like, oh, you're all on your own. Not you're not complete due to one other person. So you just like, okay, do things that will make you, you know, happy at that moment, that will make you think over what has happened. Yes. So you don't tell yourself that, oh, instead of, oh, I am alone because no one wants me, I am alone because I'm choosing to show up for myself. And that is powerful. So this is what you do when you're in that kind of scenario. So now let's look at another scenario. So let's say you're in a new city alone. You have traveled here by yourself for work, for a trip, or for a new start. So you are walking down a street, you see couples open ends, group of friends laughing, families eating together, and you feel an ache that, oh, you're the only one walking alone. Yes, that everyone else has someone, I am the odd one out, I must live so lonely. This is the experience of being alone in public, the feeling of being observed, the feeling of being exposed. So what do you do when you're in this kind? So you think at that time, it's at that point, you think, oh, people are judging you. But the truth is that most people, they are even too busy to think about you or to notice you at that time, because you are not the main character in their story at that time. You are just, a background figure. So let go of the fear of being seen alone. Yeah, instead of noticing what you lack, notice what you have. At that point, you have the freedom, you can turn to the left or right without consulting anyone. It's just a way of noticing yourself. So you can eat at a weird restaurant, no one else would, tell you that, oh, I don't like this place. You can go to wherever you like at that point. So being alone does not mean being closed off. Yeah. So you can, ask someone, a stranger, for recommendation, or where can you go to at that point, or have a brief conversation with the person next to you, maybe another person that is alone, like just start up the conversation with someone. Yeah, you are not alone, but you are not cut off from humanity, because those people that you are seeing together, that they are, you see them together, doesn't mean that there are no other people that are alone just like you are. So you can start up a conversation with someone. So you have to like take in the sight, the sound, the smell, be fully in the moment, yeah, of like when you are present. You are not thinking about what you are missing. You are experiencing what is here, and that is you. So this is what you can do if you are in this kind of case. Ah, so uh okay, let's look at the last scenario before we end today's thing. So let's look at this scenario. Like it is a Friday night, like today, you have no plans, your friends are busy, your family is far away, your phone is quiet, nothing, it's just dry. You look around your apartment, the silence feels so loud, then you feel a knot in your stomach. You start scrolling through social media, watching other people have fun. You feel, an ache, something like, oh, maybe you're envious, you're sad, you regret, being alone at that time. So you think, what is wrong with me? Why am I only alone on a Friday night? Because many people do go out Friday night. So this is one of the most common scenarios, and it's also one of the most powerful opportunities. So what do you do? Yeah, you can say to yourself that, oh, you can be telling yourself that you're feeling not comfortable right now, that the silence feel heavy, and that is okay. You're allowed to feel that. Yes. So naming the feeling takes away some of its power. Yes, you tell yourself, oh, yes, you are alone at that time. Yes, you name it, you name whatever you're feeling at that time. So you pause before you reach your phone. Like, it keeps you from feeling what you need to feel. Instead, just sit for a moment, breathe, let the discomfort be there. Yes, that you are alone, let it be there. But you sit down, take a deep breath. Yes. So instead of like asking yourself what to do, right? Instead of asking yourself, well, how do I survive? The night is so dry, blah blah blah, you know. So you can just like do something you love. If it's that you love cooking, or you can pour water on your body, something like that. Maybe it is like watching movie that you like, reading a book. Maybe it's just like sitting down, taking something to drink, doing nothing at that time, like just finding what to do, then feeling your own presence at that time, doing what you love. Yes. So this is naturally to distract yourself. It is like, seeing yourself, choosing yourself at that time. Like, you do it with intention, like intentionally, that yes, you are choosing yourself at that time, that you are doing this to yourself. Yes, rather than, oh, sitting down, just be like thinking that, oh, you are boring, something like that. So you just find joy, find something that, gives you joy at that moment, what you love doing. So you could do that. Yeah, so that's all. Yeah, so let's look at this. Yeah, like, although we've talked about practical ways in which we can find joy in ourselves, let's look at this, like every day, like what you can do, right? Like every day for 10 minutes, what we should like practice. For 10 minutes, sit in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. It will feel uncomfortable at first, yes. That is not the point. You are teaching your nervous system that, oh, the silence is safe. Yes, we need to like practice ways that, oh, because at times we might find ourselves alone. So instead of wondering and telling ourselves that being alone is so lonely, something like that. So you find things that you can do. So when you start practicing it every day, take this practice into art, then you start practicing doing all of this that I'm going to say every day. You're going to get used to it. So by the time you find yourself alone, you will not really feel it. You only feel the joy that comes with it. So secondly, you can like, once in a week, take yourself somewhere alone. You don't have to take someone with you. You can just go alone. It could be like a coffee shop or a movie or a museum to go to. You can find a place like that to go to in a week, like maybe once in a week. So you don't touch your phone at that moment. You are present with yourself. You are noticing yourself. You are with yourself at that moment. So that's the second thing you can do. Then thirdly, what you can do is write 3 pages every morning, like find a book, right? Like a journal. You can like write 3 pages, like what comes to your mind, like stream of consciousness, yourself. No editing, no judgment. This is about reconnecting with your own voice. You'll be like surprised to see what comes out when you start writing about yourself, what you're feeling at that moment. You can try that maybe once in a week or every morning. You can do that. Also, you can do what you can do also is like every night write down 3 things you are grateful for. Not necessarily the big things. It could be the little things, like what happened today. Oh, thank God for today. Thank God for this and this. The little things. Every night you can practice that. And you can also write in your book like a kind word to someone you can't send the message to, or whatever someone has done to you that day. You can also put it down. in your book. Then you can sit down and look through, just look through, like find yourself, feel yourself, enjoy your own presence. So this practice, they are not about escaping loneliness. They are about building a life you do not need to escape from. Yeah. So why do you need to do this? Why should you put this in work? When the noise of other people, although I've said it, but I'm still like repeating few things. When the noise of other people's opinion fades, you can finally hear your own voice. Yes, like I said, when you start feeling, you find yourself alone, you start enjoying your own presence, you finally hear your own voice. You know what you want. You know what you think. You are no longer swayed by the crowd, by another person. When you have spent time with yourself, you start to trust yourself, right? You trust your own instincts, your own decision, and you're no longer looking for external validations. Yeah, so when you at times when you are alone, inspiration comes. To be honest, when you are alone, when you're like alone, just not lonely, alone, you start, getting ideas, inspiration comes, creative things, creative ideas start coming into your mind. So when you're not constantly stimulated, right, your mind has space to wander, to dream, to create. So some of the greatest art writing ideas have come from people who have spent time alone. So that is a deep peace that comes from knowing you are enough. You do not need anyone else to complete you because you are already whole. Yes, relationships become addition to your life, not necessity. So this is when you are comfortable being alone, you become a better friend, a better partner, and a better family member. You are not clingy, you are not needy. You bring your full self to the table, and that is magnetic. Being alone does not push people away, it makes you more attractive to people, like I said earlier. Yes. So I don't know if anyone has, question, because we have actually come to the end of today's live chat. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has question or contribution. Sure. Okay. Okay. Mr. Arolo, please, you can speak.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the
Good evening.
comprehensive lecture, Wedoma. My question is, how do we differentiate sadness? Sometimes people are sad, lonely. People are sad, and maybe because of something that happens, something bad that happens, and it turns to loneliness. How can we manage sadness or differentiate somebody that is not feeling happy, that feel like I want to be alone, and someone that just decided that that's just his normal or a normal life, so that we will not be interpreting every loneliness as being I just want to be alone. Some people are not naturally feeling fine. People they might be passing through something and just want to heal, and it might be as a result of something different from loneliness or being used to that. So how can we differentiate between
O-
someone that is
Okay.
sad or having passing through bad things and loneliness?
Okay. Okay, is that all? Okay, okay. So the question is that how do you someone differentiate between
Yes,
being
yes,
lonely
yes. That's
and being alone in summary? Yeah, or maybe because I've started the before you join. So earlier, the differences between loneliness and alone. Loneliness is involuntary, like you don't wish to be there. You find yourself being lonely. But aloneness is voluntary. Like, yes, you want to be alone at that point. Loneliness can be very sad, like you said. And when somebody has entered into extreme loneliness, the best thing to do is to actually seek help, right? Because at that point, telling the person that, oh, these are ways for you to enjoy being alone, might not really be the best solution for that person, because that is not what the person needs at that time. So the person can just like seek more professional help, right? And also, practical ways is telling him or herself at that point that, oh, I am sad, oh, I am lonely, oh, at this point. Yes, and that is very okay. So the person do not immediately distract themselves. The person can just let it be. Yes. So sometimes, it needs comfort, then sometimes it might need connection, and sometimes it just needs to be witnessed. So actually, loneliness is not a failure, it is a signal. Sometimes the signal is telling you to connect. Yes. So at that point, you can also try to connect with people. Yeah. And also the practical steps that has been talked about, like finding things that interest them at that point, can actually be ways to overcome loneliness at that point. Because actually, yes, there's a very big difference between loneliness and being alone. So loneliness is not something that we decide that I want to be lonely. It comes, or I don't know if you actually get, or maybe I didn't get the question.
Yeah, I got it, ma. Thank you so much.
Mm, okay. I'm coming. I just want to talk about what I said earlier. Yeah, like the difference. So loneliness is the painful feeling of being disconnected. It is the ache of wanting connection and not having it. It is involuntary and it's alt, right? And being alone is intentional choice to be yourself. It is voluntary and it is spacious. It is a practice. Yeah. So that's it. I don't know if
Okay,
anyone
thank
has
you.
something to say. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, I think I saw a message here. The chat box. Come. Mm, oh, okay, Mr. Almira, thank you. You actually did read justice to it. All right. Thank you for that. I think that will be all for today's live chat. Thank you for questions. Thank you for contributions. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking out of your time to be here in your busy time and schedule. Thank you very much for being here and joining today's live chat. Yes, so see you again next week, same time, Friday, 7 p.m. Thank you very much. Good night. Yeah. Good night. Thank you.